ora. Hello, I'm Philip Duncan and thanks for joining us for our Wednesday weather update as we track high pressure moving across the north of New Zealand, but we've got a low pressure system coming in for the weekend. It is Wednesday the 17th of April. Can you believe it? We're more than halfway through the fourth month of the year. That's just crazy. Let's have a look now at the forecast. We've got a big block of high pressure coming through at the moment for Wednesday. It's noticeable because of the light winds you see in the Tasman, but also check out the winds going around it. The big strong east to southeast winds up here in the tropics and the strong gale force westerly winds south of New Zealand. That's because high pressure's in the middle and low pressure is down here towards Antarctica and also low pressure further to the north up towards the equator. So high pressure is in the middle part here and it's just centered to the north of us. So westerly winds will carry on around the New Zealand area. This is how it looks this evening, 6 o'clock. You've got a little line of showers basically across the side of the North Island here, so one or two of them popping up, a bit of cloud moving through. Otherwise, mostly settled, still got a southwest wind at the top of the country, but this is all high pressure, so there's not a lot really going on. Here's the next 48 hours as we head in towards Friday. There is a cold front that comes right up and across Hobart, Melbourne and Canberra, and at the same time it comes into Southland, Otago, and by the evening, Canterbury as well. Comes into Christchurch, it looks as though during Friday evening. Further to the north, you've got this little patchy area of rain and showers. This is the new low pressure zone that is forming as this high to the north departs east and before the next high comes in, which looks like it does around Sunday, Monday. So this system has a narrow window between the highs to do its thing. The good news is it brings a bit more rain in for the North Island and maybe even the top of the South Island over the next, or as we go into Saturday. But not great timing for everybody, being a Saturday, obviously, a lot of outdoor events. And we've got the supercars in Taupō. It'll make Saturday a little interesting because of the wet tracks. Be patchy around the North Island as well. And leading up towards the weekend, here's the next 48 hours from this evening, just showing showers all around the North Island, and most of that comes in on Friday. And then on the west coast here, you've got that rain from the cold front that comes in towards the end of the week. And obviously this ends Friday evening, so it doesn't capture the low that moves in on Saturday for the North Island. Let's kick off with Thursday's setup. High pressure right on the doorstep here of the north of the northern part of New Zealand, Cape Reinga, 1023 hectopascals, a subtropical airflow coming in for parts of the North Island and even just clipping the top of the south. Further down the South Island, still mild, northwest to westerly wind coming out of Australia. But here is that cold front waiting down here in the wings, about to jump up on Friday. And this is it on Friday. So it's not exactly the biggest storm in the world. It is just a southerly. Temperatures drop, snow on the mountains and ranges, and a cooler day for you. If you live in Invercargill or Gore or Dunedin or the Catlins, you'll be seeing those temperatures down a wee bit. Over on the western side, not so bad, and most places are dry, but as the afternoon and evening wears on, that front does look as though it moves up mostly the eastern side of the South Island. Meanwhile, on the Tasman, here is that new low forming between the high that's exiting and the high that's incoming. So this is a short life in that kind of precarious position, and it produces some wet weather. And that's what we just saw on that rainfall map coming in for Friday, mostly into the afternoon and evening. Here's Saturday. So it's not a very deep low. Average air pressure is 1013. So this is very close to average air pressure. But clearly there is a low and it's formed there. A bit of rain moving in across the country. Now the colours you see, the pale blues and the slightly darker blue, that's really patchy kind of weather. If you look at the radar on Saturday, you won't just see one big huge blob of rain over the North Island. You'll see broken up areas of patchy rain and showers as the system moves through. The airflow, the mountains, the ranges, and the fact that the low is quite weak all combines to make it a tricky system to really lock in for some of you. So rainfall figures, they're going to move around a wee bit as this tries to move on through. The good news is you might get a little more in the upper part of the South Island. Most other places, though, further to the south, are dry. So let's go to Sunday now. And high pressure parked out over Adelaide. That's moving in. And it looks like a bulldozer. Just you can see it pushing all the way out to the New Zealand area. And as it does that, it pushes away the low. So the low is out here, circling around just off the coast of Wairarapa Upper and Wellington. The rain that it produced, there are subtropical connections here on the back end of the high. So there could be some slow moving rain for some areas, but mostly it looks like that happens offshore rather than over the top of us. So keep up to date with those rainfall figures we've got, the numbers, the rainfall totals. They are going to move around a bit as we track the next high that is already bulldozing away the wet weather that we've just seen. In the south here, the westerly winds push in a bit more wet weather, mostly in Fiordland, maybe reaching Te Anau and maybe even getting into Invercargill and parts of Stewart Island. Next week, our final map shows the next high is already dominating New Zealand, but look at the centre, it's gone back way out southwest of Australia, but it stretches all the way out to the New Zealand area. We're on the outer edges of it, which means southerly winds coming in for us. That'll be sunny in some places, but the temperatures will be down a little, not a huge amount. It's a local southerly coming in around the New Zealand area. Go further down the map, it disappears. These are westerlies. So there's no big sort of southern southerly coming up around us. Storm down here, subtropical low up here, but the high pressure belt does look like it's going to push through and be the main feature. But being autumn and the nights now longer than the days, that means that there is more chaos and uncertainty. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on the low to the north, which, as I say, for now doesn't look like it reaches us, and the storm down here in the Southern Ocean, because all it takes is that high to shrink a little bit. Just think of them as your lungs, and it's exhaling, so it shrinks. If it does that, in comes some wet weather, or this drops towards us. If it moves further to the east and breathes in, expands, that will push out these wet weather systems further away from the country. So a few moving parts to it all as we go into next week. But that's all from me for today. See you again tomorrow, Thursday. Our Australia-only update is back, 7-day rainfall for them, and we'll be taking another look at what is coming into New Zealand this weekend.